So this has been a question to all Cars Diecast collectors ever since May 1st, 2017. Or why did Mattel change Lightning McQueen's casting or model for Cars 3 in 2017? Today, we are going to be tackling the sudden change or the difference between the models of Cars 1 Lightning McQueen, Cars 2 Lightning McQueen, and Cars 3 Lightning McQueen. What is up, Diecast Garagsters? Welcome back to Alex's Diecast Garage, a garage dedicated to Disney Pixar cars and where we review the exotics of the exotics diecast cars on the planet. And today, we are going to be tackling the mystery behind the change of Lightning McQueen's model for the Cars 3 lineup diecast. Or, you know what? Let's put it this way. We're going to be tackling the change in Lightning McQueen's diecast model for Cars 3. So before we dive into the video, I want you guys to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Turn on the post notification to not miss a single update on the channel. So I have been longing to do this video for years in my years of diecast collecting, ever since 2017 when Cars 3 came up with their lineup of diecasts, and which one of them is being the Cars 3 Lightning McQueen. So before we tackle the difference or what has changed drastically in the Lightning McQueen model in 2017, we're going to be taking a rundown on our two primary castings that we've had before Cars 3. So since 2005 until 2016 to early 2017, we've had these two models of Lightning McQueen, which being the Cars 1 McQueen and the Cars 2 World Grand Prix livery design Lightning McQueen. So as you may observe, these ones are more looking what you call this? They look more wider. They look more chunkier, which how they should are. See? They look more chunkier, more wider. They look more wider. Let's get on to Cars 3 McQueen. The Cars 3 Lightning McQueen casting changed drastically from these two wider models down to a very thin, more downgraded from these two wider ones, which are more accurate and more chunkier, that are more accurate, as I've said, to the movies, Cars 1, Cars 2. What is just very concerning to all Mattel Disney Cars diecast collectors is the sudden change of the Cars 3 Lightning McQueen model in 2017. What's unique about this Lightning McQueen is now it can be fit, or it can have Hot Wheel tracks compatibility, so that means you can fit him more now into Hot Wheels tracks, which are unusual with diecast for Pixar cars. And how you can tell what's the difference of Cars 3 McQueen compared to Cars 2 McQueen or Cars 1 McQueen. Let me show you first an in-depth look around Mr. Cars 3 Lightning McQueen over here. What has changed drastically with this Lightning McQueen is that he's more slimmed down to this very thin looking car that has Hot Wheels compatibility. Have to tell that he's changed. If we look down here to the rear part of the bumper, you can see that these corners right here are squared off. What do you mean? Well, some mostly don't understand. These corners right here are squared off. If we take a look at, for example, here's Cars 1 Lightning McQueen. We had 2005, 2010. They are rounded off. And if we put him side by side with Cars 3 McQueen, you can also see that his tires on the Cars 3 casting are much more slimmer, much more thinner, compared to these ones on the right, which is the Cars 1 McQueen. The Cars 1 McQueen has a more thicker, more chunkier, which are more accurate to the movie. Has a more chunkier, thicker looking design, for the body. I mean, if you compare to Cars 3, Lightning McQueen over here, he has a more thinner looking body. If you get what I mean, he's more slimmed down. If we put him all on the table, you can see the differences between those two bases. You can see this one's squared off, this one's more chunkier, more rounded off, and the wheels are also in that same kind of difference, where this Cars 1 wheel is more chunkier, the Cars 3 wheels are more slimmer down. Here's the Cars 2 McQueen next to him. You can also tell that the Cars 3 McQueen is still slimmer than the Cars 2 McQueen. This one's more chunkier, more wider, since it does focus on livery designs. The back, you can tell that this Cars 2 Lightning McQueen is a lot more wider than what we've had. There we go. It's more wider in sense of width. But in length wise, they seem to be the same. Yeah, they still measure 3 inches tall, so. But you can tell that this McQueen right here is much more taller and much more slimmed down compared to Cars 2 McQueen. I mean, if you put this guy in the middle or in between these two, you can really tell that this McQueen right here is much more slimmer down, if you get what I mean, compared to these two, which are more chunkier, more accurate to the movie in my personal preference or opinion. So I can say that this Lightning McQueen right here is slimmed down by Mattel, and fair enough, these traits from the 2017 model or Cars 3 McQueen model, the more slimmer down, you can also tell that it's a Cars 3 McQueen just by like the boxy designs, not just from the base, not just from the tires, but from the window piece, since these are separate plastic pieces, which were a tradition to Disney Cars Diecast since the day they were first released 2005. They have a separate plastic window piece. The window piece on Cars 3 McQueen uses a more squared off corner window parts. You can see the corner over here. They're a lot more slimmer down or thinner. You know, you get what I mean? Look at the corners of the windows. They are more squared off. If you would compare to Cars 1 McQueen and Cars 2 McQueen, they are both rounded off. Mattel has carried on the traits of Cars 3 Lightning McQueen to 2022 when Cars on the Road was released. They carried the Cars 3 mold to the On the Road Lightning McQueen. This is the first edition or the first variation of the Road Trip Lightning McQueen. I currently do not have the 2023 to present day version of Road Trip Lightning McQueen, so I'll be using the 2022 variation as an example, that this Road Trip Lightning McQueen uses the same Cars 3 casting. I mean, you can tell, here it is, as we have tackled. Squared off windows, the corner of the windows are squared off. The tires are a lot more thinner. The butt over here, the rear bumper, those corners are squared off. That's how you can tell that this is a Cars 3 Lightning McQueen casting. To summarize it off, to tell that if it's a Cars 3 Lightning McQueen casting, you will be looking for a squared off rear bumper corner piece, thinner tires, and squared off corners of the separate plastic window pieces. That's how you tell if it's a Cars 3 McQueen. How to tell if it's a Cars 2 McQueen? Obviously enough, you will be looking for a GT or a thick GT style spoiler. And to tell if a Cars 1 McQueen, you will be looking for a rounded off butt. See those corners over there? Unlike the Cars 3 McQueen, these ones are squared off over here. on the Cars 1 McQueen, these are rounded off. And you'll be looking as well for thicker tires and a rounded off cornered window piece. And that mainly is all to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching my review or the diecast analysis of what has changed with the Lightning McQueen castings for the lineup of Cars 3 diecast back in 2017. I hope this is a huge help to all of the newer collectors in the diecast community to tell, or those who are concerned on why is this McQueen look thinner if you put it next to these two right here. Now you know what are the indicators on how to tell if it's a Cars 3 McQueen from the Cars 1 and Cars 2 Lightning McQueen, and how these traits were passed on to the road trip Lightning McQueen from on the road. That is all. Thank you guys for watching Alex's Diecast Garage, a garage dedicated to Disney Pixar cars. And again, I hope this is also a big help to you all to know or to tell if it's a Cars 3 Lightning McQueen casting. Thank you guys for watching Alex's Diecast Garage, where we review the exotics of the exotics diecast cars on the planet. This is Alex's Diecast Garage signing out, and I will see you guys next time.